Welcome back to the 17 News at Sunrise podcast, where we share your news on your schedule.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Sunrise.
Good morning. Right now at 5, as crews make progress on fires to our north, a fire to our south grows with little to no containment. What to expect today as we await a change in the weather that could clear our skies.
And the former elementary school principal found guilty of killing her husband 7 years ago is expected back in court today to learn her sentence.
And the World Health Organization comes out with a strong statement about the importance of getting kids back in classrooms. This morning, we want to know what you think. This is Wednesday, September 16th, 2020. Good morning. It's 5 a.m. Good to have you with us. I'm Maddie Jansen along with Alex Fisher.
And we begin this morning with the wildfires continuing to burn across our state. The Bobcat fire in Los Angeles County has grown to more than 41,000 acres and is just 3% contained this morning. Unusually dry vegetation has fueled the flames, causing extreme fire behavior. Nearly 900 firefighters are working to protect communities in the foothills of the San Gabriel Mountains. The U.S. Forestry Service says they do not expect to have full containment of the fire for another month and a half.
Meantime, crews are making some progress against the Creek Fire that's burning east of Fresno. The fire is now 18% contained. More than 220,000 acres have burned. More than 600 structures have been destroyed, and fire officials say they expect that number to go up. Nearly 10,000 homes and businesses are still threatened.
Local firefighters are helping battle the blazes burning across our state. A team of 17 Kern County firefighters were dispatched yesterday, along with 6 engines, to help with the Sequoia Complex fire. That fire is burning east of Porterville. The strike team is taking over for another team that has since returned. The fire department says about 65 county firefighters are currently assisting with fires across the state.
And as we're unfortunately getting used to, all of these fires mean that our air quality is really taking a dive around the state and here at home. We are firmly in the unhealthy category this morning as we wake up with a thick haze of smoke overhead. Health officials are asking everyone to stay indoors as much as possible. The air is so bad it could hurt your eyes, irritate your lungs, and worsen respiratory illnesses such as coronavirus. All right, Kevin is talking about a possible change in the winds. I don't think that's for today, though, right, Kev?
Yeah, we're going to have to watch things carefully now with the Bobcat fire. That kind of may change things a little bit. But I want to get right into the fires and show you what we have going on right now. And I'll tell you, there's a lot of acreage that has burned. Here is the latest stats. 3.1 million acres has burned so far this season around California. Over 7,000 wildfires for the season. And when we talk about structures that have been damaged or destroyed, over 5,000 of them. And let's take a look at the major fires. These are the 5 major ones that we're tracking right now. We have the August complex, the LNU complex, the SSU complex, and then the one we're really tracking that's a little closer to us is the Creek Fire, over 220,000 acres, and again, looking at only about 16% containment. Why are we seeing this smoke? Well, high pressure is one of the reasons, but we have that smoke drifting from the north. It gets trapped here in the south end of the valley because we have mountains all around us, and when we have a ridge of high pressure in place, pushes down on the atmosphere, creating somewhat of a lid, and that's why all that smoke just gets trapped here, and that's why we're dealing with the air quality this morning, and we have been dealing with it. And we've got unhealthy readings right now with an AQI at 162 for Bakersfield and Shafter, 163 in Taft, and then for our mountain communities, unhealthy for sensitive groups right now Tehachapi at 136. So here's a look at temperatures, and you can see 60s and 70s around the area, except up in Tehachapi. It is a cool morning with the 40s. I'll have much more in your forecast. That's coming up in a few minutes.
All right, thanks, Kevin. Still no word on any arrests this morning following a shooting in southeast Bakersfield. It happened just before 6 o'clock last night on Clyde Street near East 10th Street. BPD has not released much information, but we have been told at least one person was wounded. The injury described as moderate to major. The sheriff's office, meantime, says the deputy involved in an officer-involved shooting early yesterday morning in Oildale was ambushed by the man he shot. It happened around 1:30 near the intersection of Moneta and North Chester Avenues. According to the Kern County Sheriff's Office, it all started when a deputy responded to reports of a suspicious white car in the area. When he arrived, there were 2 people inside.
The deputy arrived and located the vehicle, which was a reported stolen vehicle. As he was dealing with that vehicle, subject ran up behind him in an apparent ambush attack, and a struggle ensued with the deputy and that subject.
The deputy shot the man 3 times. The man was taken to the hospital and is expected to survive. KCSO says the man will be charged with assaulting a deputy. They don't believe he has any connection to the stolen car.
In your 17 Core Watch, Leslie Chance, convicted of killing her husband, is scheduled to be sentenced later today, facing 50 years to life. Leslie Chance was convicted in January of killing Todd Chance back in 2013. She was hospitalized a week ago to what sheriff's officials are calling a medical emergency. No further details have been released regarding exactly what happened. A motion for a new trial was denied.
5:06, and now to the latest coronavirus numbers here in Kern County. Public health officials announced 66 new cases and 1 new death yesterday. Nearly 13,000 people have an active case of the virus here locally and are recovering at home. 145 are being treated in local hospitals. 333 people have died since the pandemic began here in Kern County. And the coronavirus is the topic of the latest educational guidelines from the World Health Organization, with experts advising that physical school closures should only be used as a last resort. The head of the organization said school closures should only be temporary. He spoke yesterday in Geneva, where he was joined by the heads of UNICEF and UNESCO to tout the importance of keeping schools open when possible.
Given the devastating consequences on children, youth, and our societies as a whole, the decision to close schools should be a last resort, temporary, and only at a local level in areas with intense transmission.
Officials also said when distance learning is necessary, school districts should be using that time to put in measures to prevent and respond to transmission so that they're prepared for children to return to the classroom safely.
In other education news this morning, the Bakersfield College Distinguished Speakers Series is set to continue later today. Master percussionist, singer, and entertainer Louis Cruz Beltran is on the docket for today's virtual event. Beltran has played with legends such as Carlos Santana, Gladys Knight, Stevie Wonder, and Smokey Robinson. The webinar is being hosted at 10 a.m. and again at 2 p.m. To register, head to bakersfieldcollege.edu. And another distinguished speaker is set to appear at a local higher education, local learning institution. Virgin Group founder and billionaire philanthropist Sir Richard Branson. Branson will be the keynote speaker at Cal State Bakersfield's 50th anniversary celebration next month. The event will be held October 1st, the anniversary of CSUB's first day of classes back in 1970. Congressman and CSUB alumnus Kevin McCarthy will moderate the discussion and Q&A with Branson, whose business has expanded to diverse sectors from travel to telecommunications, health to banking, and music to leisure.
Pretty cool. Well, 2 events are happening today to help those in need of food. First, the mission at Kern County is giving away boxes of meat and cheese through the USDA Farm to Families program. The mission's been doing this for months, and the nonprofit says after today they'll have handed out more than 500,000 pounds of protein so far. You can find the mission at East 21st Street. The giveaway is 8:30 to 10:30 this morning. Just stay in your car and they'll bring the box to you. In the afternoon, there's another protein box giveaway. This one spearheaded by the MLK Community Initiative and Patriots of the Cross. They're giving out food from 2:30 to 5:30 this afternoon at the Central Seventh-day Adventist Church on Wilson Road. The group says the giveaways will happen every Wednesday this month.
And a program that gathers uneaten food and gives it to those in need is expanding. Waste Hunger, Not Food will now do on-call pickups. The public health program takes food from restaurants, schools, and markets and distributes it to people in need. Now those who have a surplus of food and want a same-day pickup can call or text 661-479-6521 or email wastehunger@kerncounty.com. The health department accepts perishable and non-perishable food that have been prepared and handled in accordance with state and local food handling guidelines.
Yeah, you know, they usually get this food from hot lunches at schools, and those aren't, they're being made in a different way right now with the pickups that are happening. So I don't think there's as much that's going to this program.
Making news around the world, Japan's parliament has elected Yoshihide Suga as its prime minister early this morning, replacing long-serving leader Shinzo Abe. Suga was chief cabinet secretary and the top government spokesman under Abe. Suga has stressed his background as a farmer's son and a self-made politician, promising to serve the interests of ordinary Japanese people and rural communities. He has said he will pursue Abe's unfinished policies and that his priorities will be fighting the coronavirus and turning around the economy battered by the pandemic.
It's like something out of the movies, the 1998 film Armageddon, to be precise. Europe's space agency and NASA are joining forces to develop technology that could deflect asteroids before they hit Earth. The project aims to produce a spacecraft to nudge objects that might be threatening Earth onto a safer path. The European Space Agency signed a $153 million contract for the project yesterday. NASA is due to launch a spacecraft next June on a test mission to collide with a near-Earth asteroid. The European Space Agency will then launch its spacecraft in October 2024. It would map the resulting impact crater and measure the asteroid's mass. The chances of an asteroid hitting Earth are remote, but scientists remind us it has happened in the past.
Yes, it can be 1 in a million, but if that's one tomorrow, then you're in trouble. So what we know, it will happen again. And it continuously happens. We get tons of material from the sky falling on Earth. Luckily, 3/4 of the Earth are covered with water, and a large part is also desert and ice. But yeah, that's luck. That's not a scientific way to approach the problem.
If the NASA mission succeeds, ESA said it would be the first celestial body to be deliberately shifted by a human craft.
KGET Business Watch is brought to you by Grapevine MSP Technology Services, the Valley's leading IT service provider.
Welcome back to your 17 Business Watch. 3 local businesses are teaming up today to help other businesses navigate the pandemic. The Small Business Development Center at CSUB is hosting the webinar, diving into topics such as PPP and other loans, plus how to adapt marketing and communications and how small businesses should approach their repayment plans. This is the 27th weekly webinar since the beginning of this pandemic. Today, it's happening from noon till 1 p.m. We have more information on our website, kget.com. As the West Coast deals with several deadly blazes, many are scrambling to protect their homes and their safety. Now, a Bay Area home builder says he's developed a way to build a new type of home that's far more fire resistant for the same cost as a traditional wood-framed house. Robert Handa explains.
At first glance, the beautiful 6,000 square foot home built by Eugene Yu doesn't look much different than a traditional wood home. But here are pictures NBC took in June last year. You can see the steel framework in place. And a steel skeleton is not the only fire-resistant feature. Yu says the outer walls are made up of what is known as aerial concrete, which can withstand extremely hot flames and theoretically limit the impact of embers that get into vents. The inside walls are a fire-resistant wood-plastic composite.
This house would sustain minimum damage if there's a fire.
The biggest advancement is cost. Yu says he can now make steel homes for the same cost as wood, about $300 per square foot.
Prefabricate the steel frames and off-site, then print on the side, so it saves time and save labor, and also it's more quality control.
Yu showed us numerous examples, such as a steel staircase he says cost 1/3 of a similar wooden design, and a steel deck, also 1/3 of the price. Santa Clara County Supervisor Dave Cortese says with all the recent fires, he's intrigued.
You really have to take a hard look at all steel construction just to protect people's lives.
17 News is your local election headquarters. The presidential election is technically already underway. With 48 days to go, nearly half of all states will start early voting by this weekend, and more are sending ballots straight to your mailbox. Tracy Potts has the latest on how President Trump and Joe Biden are crisscrossing the country to get your vote.
Hi, Maddie. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. President Trump faced some tough questions last night from undecided voters about his coronavirus response. Today, Joe Biden's turning to his old colleagues in the Senate for help in this election.
Sir, why do you think that you're
Today, Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden speaks to Democrats in the Senate about mobilizing voters after a trip to Florida where he courted veterans.
We're going to make sure that no veteran is locked out of treatment.
And Latino voters.
You can decide the direction of this country.
Polls are tight in Florida, with Biden lagging among Latinos, a group Hillary Clinton won easily 4 years ago.
I don't take anything for granted.
His running mate, Senator Kamala Harris, going after that same group in Nevada.
There are clear choices in this election. And so I urge everyone to, here in Nevada, vote and vote early.
President Trump, in an ABC town hall with George Stephanopoulos in Pennsylvania last night, defends his coronavirus response.
Could you have done more to stop it? I don't think so.
The president also defending why early on he withheld how deadly this virus could be.
I don't want to scare people. I don't want to make people panic. And you're not going to go out and say, oh, this is death, death, death. It is going to disappear.
The president still claims we'll have a vaccine within weeks, despite drug makers and health experts who say it'll be sometime next year. That is sure to be part of the first presidential debate, which is coming up soon at the end of the month in Cleveland. Joe Biden told reporters in Florida he's been preparing for his first face-to-face with President Trump. I'm Tracy Potts, 17 News.
Back in local politics, Assemblymember Rudy Salas is hosting a free appointment workshop today to teach you how to apply for a state, board, or commission. The virtual workshop will cover topics such as agriculture, education, transportation, and more. Salas will be joined by Governor Gavin Newsom's appointment secretary, Catherine Rivera Hernandez, and a panel of Central Valley representatives. It's from 11 a.m. to noon on Zoom. To RSVP, go to our website, kget.com.
A crash in Tulare County has left 3 people from Mcfarland dead, including 2 young children. According to CHP, a 26-year-old woman was driving in Early Mart on Monday and drove through a stop sign. The car was hit by a pickup truck that was already moving through the intersection. The woman, a 4-month-old baby, and a 4-year-old boy were all killed. Their names have not been released, but all 3 were from Mcfarland. The children were not properly restrained in child safety seats, according to highway patrol officers. CHP released a statement saying child passenger restraints save lives. Please utilize them for the safety of your children. And just a reminder, you can call your local CHP office to install a car seat if you need one. CHP has a list of offices and their phone numbers on their website, chp.ca.gov. And a deadly crash on Monday near the Tejon outlets was reportedly caused by a man trying to escape a sheriff's deputy. Yesterday, CHP said the driver was a man from Los Angeles and he was not wearing his seatbelt. His identity has not been released. According to CHP, the driver had been pulled over on I-5 for passing a Kern deputy while driving around 85 miles per hour. But he sped off when the deputy left his patrol car, only to crash a few hundred yards away near the Laval Road off-ramp.
From our road work file now, work continues on the 24th Street widening project. Contractors are putting in road stripes along the 24th Street corridor every night from 8 p.m. through 6 a.m. through tomorrow. Lanes will be closed on the 23rd Street and 24th Street areas between the Kern River Bridge and Highway 178. However, at least one lane will stay open on each road. Also, watch for daytime lane closures between Oak Street, B Street, and Bay Street. Those will continue on weekdays from 8:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. for the rest of the month. And due to our poor air quality, Golden Empire Transit is once again offering free bus rides today. You can ride the Get Fixed routes or get a lift all day free of charge. Funding for these rides comes from the Congestion Mitigation Air Quality Grant.
Well, here's a story that'll make you smile. From New York's Carnegie Hall to London's Royal Albert Hall, Gregory Porter has traveled the world, bringing the soul of Bakersfield to masses. But after the pandemic dealt Porter a devastating loss, he's back home finding inspiration in the fond memories of his childhood. 17's Taylor Schaub caught up with the Grammy Award winner to discuss his new album, the loss of his brother Lloyd, and his connection to the Golden Empire. Taylor?
Yeah, Alex, it was here at Highland High that Gregory Porter and his brother Lloyd spent 4 falls dominating on the football field. Some of the best times of his life, he said. Now he's back in the Golden Empire, reminiscing on those days as he's released his new album, All Rise, honoring his late brother.
In between Lakeview and Haley Street, that's where the outdoor church would meet. Oh, I thank you. I'm saying thank you to Bakersfield.
Listen closely to the soulful songs of Gregory Porter, and you'll hear the hidden messages woven throughout.
There's secret messages in my music about my hometown. Can I get some green and some blue?
Odes to the city that shaped the son of a preacher into a platinum-selling singer.
From the stage of Royal Albert Hall, I'm mentioned in Bakersfield. It's part of me, and I don't shy away from it.
A lot has changed since the last time we caught up with the Grammy Award winner. A new record titled All Rise hit store shelves in February.
I was fighting for the #1 record in the UK, in between Katy Perry and Metallica.
60,000 feet up in the air, I can't wait to come down.
Highlighted by Concord, a hit single with a familiar tale of a man halfway around the world just trying to find his way home.
Bakersfield is all throughout that record. The unspoken sand that I'm trying to get to, the ground that's moving, the life that's moving underneath me in that song is Bakersfield.
Clap your hands now.
You could say 2020 was on its way to becoming a record year for Porter. That is until tragedy struck. His eldest brother and best friend Lloyd died from COVID-19 complications.
The virus has touched my family in a deep and profound way.
Now in between Zoom interviews talking about his album, Porter finds himself driving the streets of Bakersfield, reminiscing on the best days of his life.
You know, we spent hours and hours on the fields at Highland High and just traveling around to different places that he and I spent our life growing up.
So as Porter continues to promote All Rise in this unique time, he finds comfort knowing that the words of this record tell the story of his brother and of his community.
I think working on this record has in some ways put me in a good place in terms of how I feel about my loss. I sing about my experiences in Bakersfield. I sing about my brother. He's in some of those songs. His experiences were my experiences.
Porter says he's been doing a lot of writing since the passing of Lloyd, and he says that, traveling to these areas like Highland High School has really inspired him. Reporting live, Taylor Schaub, 17 News.
Sunrise Interviews is brought to you by Valley Strong Credit Union.
Welcome back. According to the CDC, prostate cancer is the most common cancer among men. And joining us is a 9-year survivor, Leonard Zazowski Jr., here to talk more about the upcoming Zero Prostate Cancer Run and Walk. Good morning, Leonard. Thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Good morning, and thank you for having me on.
Well, let's first just talk about, obviously, this is something that has impacted you and your family. You are a survivor. Let's just talk a little bit about what you want men to know about prostate cancer.
Well, what I want them to know is to get checked yearly, because early diagnosis is the key for prostate cancer and actually all cancers and any health-related issues, but especially for prostate cancer, it's a major component in trying to be cancer-free.
What was it like for you to receive that diagnosis? What did you do to be proactive and get that diagnosis early?
Yeah, diagnosis. My father passed away at 57, 38 years ago. So I was sort of, trying to get checked yearly. When the PSA came out, the test, I started taking that, and at 49, numbers went up. 50, I had the prostate cancer, and it was pretty devastating because I donated blood for years and I had to stop for 5 years. Yeah. But for men, it can be pretty devastating.
So we have this run and walk happening this year. It's obviously a little different. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, this year, Zero decided to go with a virtual event to protect survivors and those that would have been in attendance. The event is on Saturday, September 19th at 9 a.m. It is virtual, so what we're doing is asking people to go out and walk for a father, a brother, a family, a friend, just to go out there and post it on social media. The website is zerocancer.run/Bakersfield, so you can go to that and actually see there's a lot of good information that Zero's putting out this year for the event.
All right, perfect. We'll post all that info on our website, kget.com. Leonard, thanks so much for coming in this morning. Really appreciate it. Take care.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Sunrise.
The 17 News at Sunrise podcast is a production of KGET and Nexstar Media Group.
For more on all of the headlines in today's show, head to kget.com.